Hello, and welcome to Seeking Heaven, the near-death experience and other phenomena. I'm your host, Tamara Caulder Richardson, a multiple near-death experiencer and spiritually transformative experiencer, as well as an evidential medium, Christ Chandler, and Starseed. And today we're having a very exciting guest, and I want to tell you a little bit about her. But beforehand, subscribe, like, tell your friends, share. This is an episode you don't want to miss. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest today. I've gotten to know her. She's an incredible person, very enlightened, and very much so a part of this Ascension movement. So pay attention today. You're going to love this. Now, we've got a couple other episodes we've done. Please don't miss them. So today's guest, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about her, and then I'll bring her on, is Waxela Sananda. Now, she is known as a galactic shaman. She's also an embodied ascension trainer, consciousness life mentor, as well as an activator of your spiritual gifts. She's an author and host of the Alchemy of Ascension Summit and YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to her channel. And also sign up for the summit. She'll tell you more about that later. She's going to tell you more about her journey. Today, we're here to speak about her journey. And so let me bring her on. Hello, good to see you, Waxela.
Hi, Tamara. I'm so happy to be with you again. We have so much fun together. So thank you for this opportunity.
We do. And the first time I think you interviewed me for your channel on the Christ Consciousness Talk, like a little preview, and we did a spiritual exercise, but we had all sorts of interesting technology issues, including a transmission, beep, 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 beep. So who knows what's going to happen today? So just stay tuned. But, today we're going to be talking about your spiritual journey and how you, in terms of, maybe I should go back and say your cosmic spiritual journey, and how you woke up as a starseed. And I know it's a process. I mean, we're still waking up to really owning all of that, and why that is so important. So I know it starts way back for you in childhood. I'm just going to give you the floor, and I'm just going to sit back and be real interested and let you speak.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And it's always interesting to talk about the journey, and my intention in telling this is not that you think that I'm special or cool or something like that, because I've had all these,
totally
crazy experiences, these expanding experiences. Thank you. But, it's in all of us. And so my intention in telling my story is that it contacts, the part of each person listening, that it lands somewhere, and maybe there's a part of you that has memories, or that has experienced something that you've suppressed, or, maybe you've seen something that you ignored or tried to, pass it off as, oh, that was just a light or whatever, it's easy to do that. So I would just invite you in the listening to this to see what opens up for you. Maybe it just lands like a story. That's okay. I don't need to convince anyone. It's my story. It's what happened to me. If it lands like, oh yeah, I think I can relate to that, then great. If not, hopefully it's just a fun story then for you to listen to. So yes, my extra dimensional experiences started when I was very young, around 3 years old. And sometimes we use the term now ultra dimensional for experiences that include things like angelics, light beings, other dimensional beings, higher frequency beings, stars, star beings, galactics, that all of the different layers, we can't always define what it is. So we'll sometimes just say ultra dimensional or an extra dimensional being. Extra dimensional kind of means like from off planet to me, but ultra dimensional includes everything. So, or extra could be beyond this dimensional. The ultra is like all inclusive. I heard that from Rebecca Hardcastle Wright. I interviewed her on my last season, and I really liked it. So I've embraced that term. So let's go to when I was 3 years old, 3-ish. I don't remember exactly, but what I remember is lying in my bed in that in-between state, between awake and asleep. And I heard my mom in the hallway down, in the bathroom down the hall. And that was comforting to me. There was just an energy of something, I can feel it right now. I feel like tingles as I'm starting to enter into the story, something different, something energetic in the air. And it comforted me to know that my mom was still up and my bedroom was near theirs, but I did not like sleeping alone when I was a kid. And I was in a very small town. We only had 2,000 people in the town I was raised in, Lutheran family, very Christian, Iowa, Bible Belt, and I was in a 2-level house. My bedroom was at the 2nd level, and my bedroom window, we were on top of a hill. So there was never a light at my window. But this particular night, there was a light at my window. And I thought that was odd because even if in the rare case a car would come up the road, it wouldn't shine a light through the window because I was on the 2nd floor. And yet this light came in the window, and this frequency, I didn't know the word frequency back then. I just knew things were like buzzing. I felt like buzzing and tingling and in some intense energy, which was kind of scary to me. And then there was a being at my window, and this was the strangest looking being I had ever imagined. It was basically a biped cricket. So he looked like he had a cricket head and a human type of body with a silver spacesuit, so like a onesie, long sleeve and long pants on, and some other decorations. Strange, right? And then the next thing I knew, I was like, oh, I don't like what's happening here, just because I didn't understand it. And the next thing I knew, I was inside of what felt like a kind of like a cocoon. It was an energetic container, and I couldn't really see. And I wanted to scream, I wanted to yell, I wanted to thrash around, but I was paralyzed. I was conscious, and all I could feel was just intense energy. And I was thrashing and I was trying to yell, but I couldn't say anything, and I couldn't get any sound out or movement. And I wanted to yell for my mom. And then I finally, at some point, I was able to move, and I went to the side of my bed. And I stuck there as if, I should have fallen off of the bed, but it has a base and it's up a little ways off the floor. So I should have fallen down if gravity was working properly. But I instead, the feeling when your foot goes to sleep, it's that tingly, uncomfortable, prickly, tingly sensation. My whole body, head to toe, was feeling that as it was sticking me to the bed. And then all at once, shoot, that energy went out the window. I fell straight to the floor. I stood up. I was, kind of stricken, like, what in the world just happened? And I heard in my right ear, "Don't tell the adults, they won't understand." And I'm like, I just got in bed and I put the covers over my head and I went to sleep. Well, I was having flashbacks. We'll go back like 15 years ago, maybe 20. I started having flashbacks. I put that away, right? I filtered that, filed that in the cabinet. I didn't want to remember that. And that wasn't my only one. That was my sort of origin event. But about, we'll say between 15 and 20 years ago now, I revisited that. Like I was getting flashbacks. I'm like, I got to find out what happened. So I went to a QHHT therapist, and I got regressed to that time. And this is a hypnosis session, but I was able to interview that cricket being and ask what was going on. So that was very helpful. So I got to revisit the whole scene, watch it. I started out in it, and then I was that child being upset, and they pulled me out of it. The practitioner said, "Now come out and observe, and now you can ask questions." And so I started asking the being there, "What is going on here?" And he said, "First of all, I'm just doing a job. This has nothing to do with me. This is between you and your counsel." And I'm like, "Okay, tell me what's happening. Who's the counsel?" So there was an energetic line coming in the window, like a cord, like kind of like a silver umbilical cord, except very like a big rope, kind of like a really big one, full of energy, to that cocoon that I was in. And he said, he walked me through it. So this is a charging station. This is connecting you through this cord to to your galactic council. Your galactic council is a council of 12 races, which each one represents 12 races. And you are a member on that council, but simultaneously you're having a lifetime here. And you are, through this cord now, you're able to send and receive information. This was a pre-incarnational agreement. You agreed to this before you came here. You're on that council. So this is one of the ways that you're serving during your time here. And I just wanted to know, is this a benevolent council? What is, what's their purpose?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, this is a benevolent council, a galactic council for helping the earth through this very pivotal time. And, this is a service job that you're doing. And so I was okay with that, but I'm also trained in shamanism and I'm also very interested in sovereignty. So at some point, years down the road, I did choose to cut those cords, to sever and cut that cord and no longer do that reporting job that I was doing because I wanted to feel my own energy aside from that galactic council. And then years later, I went back and decided, okay, I will report to you in meditation on my own time. I don't need to be connected by energetic cords. And that works really well for everybody involved. And I think that was part of my ascension journey as well, to become more sovereign and not need to receive or send to that council.
That makes sense.
So
Right.
that was my original experience, my starter.
Wow.
And yeah.
So then you had, so this was the big one that you had. And yeah, I think that's a good idea not to tell your family because they wouldn't understand that. So this is something that did you always know this, or did you recall it later in life? This big experience, or is it just, has it always been with you, or has it come out more with time? I'm curious.
Well, so the specifics of that event, I didn't have the specifics, but certainly the experience was with me going forward from that. And I did have many other visitations, generally not as dramatic. Sometimes they were, but going forward as a child, I didn't talk about it because of that program I was left with. And by the way, I thought it was my own original thought, like, just, I'm not going to tell the adults about this. But I realized later, oh, that was a program so that I was in small town, rural Iowa. It just wasn't like, what are they going to do with the kid that's talking about galactic connections, right? So the way that I really channeled that energy is I loved nature. So I would go, and I just remember all throughout my childhood, we lived by a lake and there was this marshy area that I loved to go to. I called it the swamp. It was really a pond, but it had super high cattails. It had these weeping willow trees as you entered. And I would ride my little bike up there, my little basket, and I would walk through the weeping willow trees and they would greet me and they were so alive. If I was ever upset, I would put my back against a weeping willow and just let it go, let it drain. I would walk through those cattails to the edge of the swamp. And then I wanted to catch frogs. That's what I really wanted, frogs and salamanders. But in that desire to catch frogs, I like to say the frogs taught me to meditate because I would tune in to this whole world that existed at my ankles and below. And I didn't realize it then, but I was learning to shift my awareness, to shift dimensional awareness. So I would shift into basically the fairy realm. And then suddenly when I did that, I would be so still, so still. And I would shift my consciousness down into that miniature world. And then I would be able to see everything. And it's like this whole infrastructure teeming with life at my ankles and below. I could see the frogs. I could see this whole world going on. And then whatever I wanted, I could scoop up some frogs, put them in my little basket and be on my way. But I would play there every day. And it was really my peaceful place. I felt understood in nature. I would meditate. I didn't call it meditation. I just called it being, and playing. But that was where I really felt like nature and I really became one in that space. It was so nurturing. And it was a place where everything was just creative and alive. everything was alive. And I really got that there. I could tune into a plant or a tadpole or a salamander or cricket. It didn't matter, anything. I could become that thing and take on that consciousness. I was shape-shifting. And I didn't know any of those terms back then, but I learned, I remembered many, many lifetimes of meditation and consciousness through those experiences. So fast forward to my my teenage years, I applied and was chosen to be a foreign exchange student in the Yucatan in Merida, Mexico. And little did I know the Mayan ruins were there. And that is a huge part of my own galactic history. And so I was 17 years old, went to high school, a year of high school, my last year in Merida. And then I got to go visit Chichen Itza, Uxmal, Tulum, Liltun, all of these beautiful Mayan ruins. And I would be walking around I remember taking the tour at Chichen Itza, and I'd be like, they'd tell us, oh, and they did this, and they were like squishing the heads of the babies and all this stuff. And they would talk about certain things. I'm like, no, that's not how we did it. I'd have these memories and thoughts. I'd be like, what? Why am I thinking that? Like, how do I know that? Why do I know that? Why do I think I know that? And all these things would flood back. And it was opening up memories of lifetimes of being in that culture, of being part of that culture. And so really activated my memories. All of these things, we can go to sacred places and collect some of our memories. So this really held a lot of my memories and opened me up. And then that summer, after this magical time in Merida and the Yucatan, I went and I was a girls' camp counselor in Pennsylvania. And at night, I would sit on the patio. I was a girls' camp counselor. The girls would be going to sleep, and I would sit on all the counselors sat outside in the dark, waiting for their kids to sleep, and then we could get up and do whatever we wanted or go to bed. But I would sit and I would see stars blinking at me and moving in interesting patterns, coming together, coming apart. And I'm like, this is unusual. What is happening up there? And then over time, I started asking the other counselors, do you see the stars? Like, they're like, oh, that's just a satellite, or that's just a helicopter. I'm like, no, satellites and helicopters don't do the things that I'm seeing. But it was clear as day. I was seeing them constantly. And then shortly after that, I started having conscious contact with what I call starships. So light ships, not metal. They didn't look like metal.
Right.
They look like light, and they are consciousness that can actually communicate with us. And so fast forward a little bit farther now, I went to Dallas, Texas, straight out of college, and I was being told I had a store. I did retail, and it was this interesting time where everybody was telling me about Kauai, Hawaii. Kept landing. I went out to lunch. I'm the only one at work. Went out to lunch. I came back to my store, opened the door. It's been locked. Nobody's in there, and there's a book about Kauai on my desk. Wow, that's interesting, right? How'd that get there? I go home from work one day, and my roommate has put a magazine on the kitchen counter, open to Nepali Coast Trail of Kauai, with a note, this would be fun. And like, wow, there it is again. People came in my front door of the store talking about Kauai. And I'm like, okay, I got it. I am going to Kauai. And so I started arranging my life for this 3-month trip to Kauai. Meanwhile, my friends, and I lived in this really cool converted artist commune that had apartments called Moon Mansion. And all of my friends had been meeting this shaman who had come to town. They're like, you've got to meet this shaman guy. He's so interesting, and he kind of reminds us of you, and he kind of talks like you. And I kept hearing about him. So one day I come home from work, and the neighbors came and got me, and they're like, hey, that shaman is at our place. You've got to come meet him. So I went over there and met him, had a long conversation, couple hours probably. We really hit it off. And then at the end of the conversation, he said, I'm going to be traveling to Kauai, Hawaii, and I want you to come with me. And I'm like, done. I can do that. I'm already planning it. So, as it turns out, so we did this journey through the Southwest. We went to Canyon de Chelly, Chaco Canyon. He was part Cherokee. His mentor lived. She was a Lakota medicine woman, and she lived outside of Prescott, Arizona, on some land. And we had this magical journey on the way there where we stopped for 2 weeks at his mentor's land. It was so high energetically. It was off like you couldn't even find it if you weren't supposed to. People would go right by. She would feel people before they came. And there were 13 little dogs there were 13 medicine wheels and 13 little dogs. And every morning you got up, you were intended to go, you have to go to the medicine wheel every morning to night, you're praying in the wheels. And when you tune in, you go in those medicine wheels and you start to pray. The little dogs, 2 or 3 of the little dogs will come and sit around you because you're going so deep and so far that they're watching your body and guarding you. And then when you come back, I would like not even have moved a single muscle, just my consciousness returned to my body. Off they go because they know they're done. You're okay. And that is where I got my name. My name that I have now, Waxela, was given to me on that land in one of those meditations by 2 Mayan grandmothers who manifested. I went into the wheel with the intention to receive my spirit name. And these 2 gorgeous, and I call them grandmothers affectionately, but one was actually they pulled me up. So they're higher dimensional, they're 4th dimensional or higher, but we kind of met in the 4th dimension. More physically present than the table or the chair, or any person in front of me, just so present. So there's so much energy in those higher realms. One was working on my heart center and one was working on my crown center. And so in this one, just eternal moment, they gave me my name. I saw the spelling. I heard the pronunciation, Waxela, that I felt the frequency, the vibration was reverberating through my body. I felt the meaning of it. I knew what it was connected to. I understood that there's a collective of myself that is a larger collective than the personality that I was born with, that I was receiving that with my name. It turned out, the energy work that they were doing, they were actually opening up my energetic field to be able to receive and hold this name that actually represented more of myself than I was currently able to hold. And so in the accepting of the name Waxela, which is my higher vibrational name, I was also accepting my mission, which is to work in the Ascension and work with people, of course, myself first. I had a lot of work to do on myself first, and then to open up to allow myself to activate and assist others in their ascension journey on this path. And so it's been a process, that it all happened in this moment, but it's ongoing. And that was 25 years ago that even more now than it's probably 27 or 28 years ago now, but it's an opening process to receive more of yourself. And at the highest level, it means divine love and connection to oneness, unity consciousness, Christ consciousness, and really understanding myself as a piece of the whole, but also as the whole simultaneously. So that was my naming experience, which was so powerful and continues to unfold.
That is so beautiful. Wow. That is how you came about that. Because I get that so many times people say, well, why do people have certain star names? Now, for you, explain what that meant. What do most people do? And why do they have that? Why do you feel it's a soul thing? But can you explain that for people?
Absolutely. So that name, the name that you're born with is your natal name. So natal, like your original name. And then when people receive what you could think of as the spirit name, it's their tonal name. It's another name for it. So it's a frequency name. They'll usually sound like Waxela, Jarusha, Ashayana, things like this. These are names. They have this flow. It's a tonal flow, and it is a frequency expression or impression that represents your soul or your spirit, and it contains a lot of information. So for me, and I think for anyone that takes their tonal name and makes it their name that they go by, it's a calling. When I hear someone call me Waxela, it's reminding me of my mission. It's reminding me of who I am. It was part of my contract and my intention and desire that when I was ready and able, I would open up to receive that name so that I could more fully step into my mission and allow other people to help me be on mission and on purpose in this life. Now, you don't have to, a lot of people get their name and they don't make it legal. You do not have to. You can keep it private. Some people feel it's important to keep it private. You can do whatever you want, whatever feels right. For me, it was important to make it my legal name and my public name, but you don't have to do that. And, it's very personal. So there are a lot of different reasons why someone might receive it. I know for myself, it was part of being on mission and on purpose in this lifetime so that I would remember I can't go by the name Waxela and not be on my mission. It just doesn't fit frequency-wise.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. I was wondering how that works because to me, it feels like a soul thing and it's beautiful. Actually, I have been meditating about my soul name, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. And then I got a response. I kept playing around. It was a lot of fun. And I got a response and I woke up and they said, I heard, "My child, don't you know what it's always been?" And I said, "What?" And when it was said, I went, it kind of touched my heart.
Yeah.
And it's not even English.
Yeah.
It's Angelique Azul de Divinas. It's divine blue angel.
Beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? It's not even English. So I was like, okay, but Angelique Azul is beautiful. And I'm like, oh, I got the chills. I don't know where it came from, but I would laugh and go, "Oh yeah, Cosmic Glitter, that's my name." And then, but it came to me, I woke up, I've been asking, and then my team kept going, "Really, we've got to go through this? Okay, if you really want to know." And but I think it has to do with meeting your purpose and stepping in your power.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like your superhero name.
It is. And it's always for me a reminder. To be on purpose, to be on path, to be on mission. And whenever other people say it, that's like, it's a gift to me.
It is. And I think that it's accepting that your mission here, but also it lets us know that we are not, that we can choose, if we're going to have a label, we can choose what that is. Kind of like you said, "No, I don't need that cord connecting. I'll come back. I'll just see you when I'll check in when I want to." So I think it's taking charge of how we want to present ourselves in this dimension, in this world, to others. And we have choice over that. We don't have to be at effect. And I think it's very powerful in that respect. Look, thank you so much for today. You're always a delight, and you just blow me away. You're so fascinating. So thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. Love being here. I love being with you. You're amazing.
You are. Thank you so much. Much love. Please subscribe, like, and make comments, and support this channel by becoming a member. Thank you for your continued support.